Pan American Highway? Yes, we've been over what there is of it. But I'm not recommending anyone start down there tomorrow attempting to drive to Buenos Aires. There are too many miles through which the highway has not been built. And while I'm no prophet, I'll venture a small prediction it will be a long time before you can drive to South America. You see, Arnold and I have tried it twice. We speak with some authority. The first time we tried, newspapers gave us big write-ups. Detroit expedition ready to blaze auto trail to Cape Horn, said one 8-column headline. Across 14,000 miles of North and South America, through tremendous expanses of jungle and over high mountains, it said, is the ambitious undertaking of an expedition which will leave here tomorrow to attempt what no one has ever done. That reporter was good. Believe me, he was. He said we'd succeed because we were big and strong, and brave and courageous, and because we were experienced explorers. Well, I admit we were big, but I don't want even to mention our courage. It was 98% not having any idea in the world what we were getting into. And as for that third item, Arnold and I had ridden pack horses for 8 days once, out in southern Utah, following a trail the Mormons had taken wagons over 60 years before we ever saw the place. If 8 days on pack horses constitutes experienced exploration, then the reporter was right. Arnold and I were experienced explorers. Our reason for taking this Cape Horn trip was to get newspaper stories and motion picture film along the Pan American Highway route, and to get material for a book. It was a self-imposed reporting assignment. But let me take you with us on this trip. It really is an experience. We will start here at Washington, D.C., cross the country, and enter Mexico at Nogales, Arizona, continuing the West Coast route to the Mexican capital. The Pan American Highway is paved from Laredo, Texas here to Mexico City. But for adventure's sake, and to get well warmed up for the tremendous difficulties ahead, we'll leave the pavement to wiser and more cautious motorists, and we'll do it the hard way right from the beginning. Then from Mexico City, we travel south through Oaxaca, down to Guatemala, then through Central America to Costa Rica, and by boat around here, because there is absolutely no way to drive through southern Costa Rica, and then on down to the Panama Canal. That will be the end of this first half of our picture story. In film number 2 of this trip, entitled Rugged Road to Cape Horn, we will begin here, take a boat down to Buenaventura, Colombia, then on up to Bogota, the capital, and south again through Quito, Ecuador, through Lima, Peru, and down to Arequipa, then up over the Andes, 16,000 feet in the sky, and across Bolivia's desolate uplands, and down here to Buenos Aires. Then we will continue south through Patagonia's seemingly limitless pampa to Magellan Straits, and finally, as guests of the Chilean Navy, on out to Cape Horn in a storm. I promise you both education and adventure on this trip, high adventure. We will pull no punches. We give you here the realistic story of men trying to follow by automobile the route of what one day will be the greatest highway in the world, the Pan American from the United States to Magellan Straits and Cape Horn. Here we are then in Washington, D.C., where we drive up in front of the Pan American Union building to shake hands with Dr. L.S. Rowe, Director General of the Union, who wishes us good luck on our long journey. Before we reach Magellan Straits, we're going to need more good luck than Dr. Rowe or anyone else who hasn't actually been over the route could possibly imagine or wish for us. Arriving at the Mexican border town of Nogales, we present ourselves to customs authorities and are permitted to pass without opening a single bag or piece of equipment. This same courtesy is extended to us at every frontier to Magellan Straits, a record of friendliness, helpfulness, and cooperation from our Latin neighbor governments of which we're extremely proud. Our expedition outfit is composed of this Plymouth sedan with special 35-gallon gas tank built into the trunk, back seat left out to make room for our mountainous pile of equipment, which is sandwiched clear to the ceiling, oversized wheels, and extra power in the transmission. The car, when fully loaded with gasoline, water, food, equipment, and the three of us, Arnold Whitaker, Kenneth Van Hee, and myself, weighs 5,630 pounds, almost 3 tons for one motor to take to Cape Horn. The first day there is road, all the way to Guaymas, but from there south for 1,000 miles there is only a dry weather trail for high-wheeled carts, and we hit it after a 6-day rain. Carefully at first, we dodge every roadway rock the size of your fist, and ease into every hole for fear we might break a spring or harm the car. We ease into this hole and stay 3 hours. When we finally get out, we realize that babying the car can have no place on this expedition's calendar, that if it doesn't have what it takes to go to Cape Horn, we'd better find it out before we get too far away from home. So from here on, we dive into mud holes, skid into fences and stumps, bolt through ruts on two wheels, and follow hour after hour along highway like this, coming out occasionally into the picturesque little villages which dot the west coast of Mexico. Usually there is a cobblestone road through the village and out to the edge of town. From there on, nothing. But up these cobblestones come the natives with their burros. This young fellow is so proud of his burrito, as the tiny beast is called in Spanish, so he brings it up to the car to have its picture taken. When the Pan-American highway system is finally completed, there will, of course, be a paved road up this west coast to connect with western United States. Then there will be bridges over these rivers. But just now, there are no bridges, and we get across them as best we can, sometimes by ferry, sometimes under our own power, and at other times with a good deal of help. This young fellow has followed along behind us for almost 5 miles. He kept yelling at us, "No pueden pasar, señores, sin mulas," meaning we couldn't get across without the help of his mules. When we see how deep the stream is, we decide he's right and let him take our film and equipment across in his high-wheeled cart so it won't get wet. Then, with his mules hooked onto the front bumper and with Arnold on the inside revving up the motor to a tremendous roar, it's just all the combination can do to get up the sandy bank of the stream. In the Mexican capital, we call it Gobernacion to meet young, handsome Don Licenciado Miguel Alemán, since become President of Mexico. He extends us every possible courtesy, and with letters from him, we are permitted to take pictures of anything we want that will help tell a more complete story of this great neighbor republic, of her ancient cultures, which are among the earliest in this hemisphere. Pictures in the great National Museum, where tourist cameras are never permitted. Pictures, some of which were the first ever taken in color, of Mexico's famous prehistoric gold and jewels. I'll show them to you in a moment. Believe me, we're grateful to Miguel Alemán. Here we are, then, in the National Museum, and now looking at the great Aztec stone calendar, a masterpiece of early workmanship by a people of which we know little. By this great stone, 2 feet thick and 14 feet across, the months, days, weeks, and seasons of the year were recorded. It is perhaps the most famous single stone relic in the Western Hemisphere, and copies of it may be found on many leather goods coming out of Mexico. This is the amazingly carved sacrificial stone of Tizoc, historical Aztec war king, who put the torn hearts of his victims, still pulsing and beating, in that ground-out cup at the top. And now the golden jewels of which I spoke. Fashioned by unknown craftsmen centuries ago, they were uncovered in Tomb 7 of this ancient mountaintop city of Monte Alban. They're solid gold, 24-karat gold, and absolutely priceless as relics of the past. That we might obtain these pictures, Mexican authorities closed the museum for us at Oaxaca during the forenoon of 2 days, opened the sealed glass cases in which the jewels were kept, brought them out into the sunlight of the inner patio, and with soldier guards armed with rifles standing about me, I handled and worked over these beautiful objects. Jade pieces, brooches, pendants, earrings, necklaces, most of them depicting the different gods of these first Americans, delicately beautiful in detail of workmanship, symbolic of castes and culture among these people. Here is the Jaggernite breastplate, one of the most magnificent pieces of the entire collection. And this is the mask of the god of the flayed, representing the god who was supposed to receive the souls of people who were beaten to death for their sins. And this headband, 4 inches wide and large enough for me to wear, with a 14-inch feather, all of pure gold. No wonder we appreciated Mexico's courtesy in permitting us to photograph these priceless documents of her ancient past.